Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very nice project where we need to build a stud wall exactly in the position where I am. So we want to build a double stud wall because we want to incorporate the soil stud. We're gonna have a shower on this end. We're gonna have a manifold with the hot water and cold water pipes somewhere here. We're gonna have a concealed system with the toilet somewhere here, and we want to create this wall that will incorporate everything. So this wall will actually separate the bathroom to the actually dressing room. So I'm just going to take the camera, I'm going to show you a few points, I'm going to show you what we need to do, how we need to start, and then I'm going to film the process through. And I think this video will help you if you ever have to build something similar. Okay, so let me show you what we're gonna use in order to do this wall. So we have two different types of metal stud profiles. We have one that is 28 millimeter wide, and we have one that is 50 millimeter wide. So we're gonna use the 30 millimeters on this side because we want to have our 28 millimeters or 30 and the plasterboard, and we want to have some gap that will obviously add the door frame, and then our architrave will go here in full. So we don't want to cut the architrave because that looks ugly. So that's the mark, and then we left 16 centimeters. Then we have another mark. So we transferred this to this wall, obviously in order to have this inside the wall. Yeah, basically we did this first and we transferred it to the other wall. So in here we have the same scenario. We have first mark and second mark. So the 30 mil profile will go from here to there, and the 50 mil profile will go from there to there. And then if your floor joists are running this way, you have to make sure that your wall is either sitting on a joist, or you have to add some noggings underneath. Our obviously goes this way. I think the inner wall will be on the actually one of the joists. The wall on the outside I think will be next to it, but we're gonna add some joists just in case. Yes, some nogging, sorry, just in case. But because we have quite a few pipes to bring in inside the wall, we want to obviously do all that and then add the noggings as we need, and we don't want to interfere with any of the pipes. If you find that your building is not always nice and square, which my one is not 100% square everywhere, you have to make sure that when you're building a wall, you have to have a square wall or a square corner where it needed. So if you have a shower tray like we're gonna have there, you need to make sure that your wall is actually square there. Okay, if you're gonna have a sink on that side, you have to make sure that that wall is also square, or that corner is also square. Our sink will be there. We just have to make sure that that is square, which it is. And we want to make sure that this corner is also 100% square because we're gonna have a shower tray. I know, in theory, everything should be nice and square, but you know, in real life, you will find out that sometimes it's not. So this house has been built by the bricklaying has been done by someone else, and I'll be fair with you, some places are not 100% square, but where we're gonna have furniture, everything will be custom made, so I don't have to worry too much about that. But where we have things that are square, you know, shower trays, sinks, etc., we want to make sure that they are pretty square. Okay, so now we're gonna start with the external wall, so the wall that sits into the dressing, let's call it this way. And what I have to do is I have to set the laser to be touching the points that I showed you earlier, so my marks that I showed you earlier. If you don't have a laser level, then you'll have to do this with a spirit level, so you have to transfer these points from the floor to the ceiling, and once that you have that, you can easily transfer them on the floor and on the ceiling. You saw me here, I just measure up with the digital measurement tool, and I cut the floor profile. So this is also called U channel. So U channels are always going on the floor and on the ceiling, and the ones that go in between vertically, they normally called C channel or C profile. And right now I'm just gonna secure this profile in place using plasterboard screws, but pay attention what screws you're gonna use. We're going into timber, so we're gonna use plasterboard screws that are going into timber. Okay, so now I'm gonna measure with the same tool, so this digital tape measure or digital measuring tool, and I'm checking the distance from the floor to the ceiling. So I will do that on the right hand side, and I will do that on the left hand side. Even if this floor was quite uneven, you probably saw in the last videos where I straightened this floor through the house and everything is nice and straight. We did the ceilings prior that, so the ceilings are straight. So you're gonna see the measurements. I'm gonna show you now. The measurements are pretty good. So you can see here they are pretty much the same: 2501, 2503, 2502. So we're talking 1-2 millimeters from one side to the other. Now I'm gonna measure also the profile that will go on the ceiling, and I will write them all down, and I will go into the next room and I will cut them all with a grinder. So when I'm gonna cut the metal profiles, I'm just gonna cut them shorter with about 5 millimeters. So I never cut them at the exact measurements. I always take 3 to 5 millimeters off, and then I'm just cutting them slightly shorter because it's always easier to put them in place. So now you see me having the profile that goes on the ceiling. I'm just gonna test it just to make sure that it fits, because you will see me, I'm just gonna use some adhesive on the back of the profile. So I'm not gonna use the foamy tape that you normally use on the back of the profile. That tape will obviously prevent any noise, or will reduce obviously the transfer of the noise. I'm not going to use that tape here because in two walls, the left hand wall and the ceiling, sorry, one wall and the ceiling, I have vapor barrier. So I know I'm gonna screw into that. So because of that, I want to use a lot of adhesive on the back just to make sure that nothing will go through that hole. So this is what I'm gonna use in terms of glue. I have some stick like and I have some CT1. If you are in UK, you probably heard about this adhesives. They are very good adhesive and also act as a sealant as well. So like I said, I'm gonna be very generous with the glue because I don't want to have anything going through that hole. Even if I'm gonna use obviously green plasterboard or a board that is with vapor barrier, I just want to make sure that because we spend time and money doing this vapor barrier, I just want to make sure that that will still work. So in here you can see me put a couple of screws, and then I'm just gonna come back with a hammer drill, drill some holes, put some plugs and some screws. This obviously plasterboard is just been glued to the aerated blocks or bridge blocks, 20 centimeters bridge blocks, and we have this glued. You can screw straight in with that glue, probably will be enough, but I like to do things, I want to go the extra mile all the time, so because of that I'm just gonna put a couple of plugs with screws. Even if we still have the laser in place and everything looks nice and straight, I like to check with the spirit level just to make sure that everything is nice and straight and there's no any deviation. You know, I mean, a laser level like a spirit level, it can always go out of calibration. So this way it's always better to check with more than one device. Okay, and because I am by myself and I'm building this wall by myself, and I like to make it as easy as possible for me, even if these profiles obviously are not very heavy. Sometimes if they are too long, it's difficult to hold them in place by your own, especially when you have glue, a lot of adhesive on the back of the profile, and your ceiling has been plastered and painted in one coat. So this way you saw me doing the bottom one, so the bottom profile first. you saw me doing the right hand side one, which is 5 mm smaller than the actually opening, and now you see me doing the ceiling one. So basically the far corner is just sits, so I just place it on top of the one that sits on the wall on the right hand side, and now it's easy for me to hold it with one hand and put a couple of screws in this profile. And I've been very lucky with this profile. It just went straight into the ceiling profile. This, I'll be fair, this hasn't been calculated before. It just ended up being like that because I wasn't 100% sure where I'm gonna build this wall. So when we built the ceilings, I didn't bother too much with these measurements because I didn't know if I'm gonna obviously catch this profile when I was going to do the wall. Okay, so we only need one more C channel or C stud in order to achieve this perimeter of the wall. So we have bottom one installed, we have the ceiling one installed, and we have the right hand side installed. So with the left hand one, it's just easy, cut it to the right length, spread some adhesive on the back, and just place it inside these U channels that are obviously sitting on the floor and on the ceiling. And this is the one where I spread the most glue, this one and the ceiling one, because this is where we have the vapor barrier. And I said that we did spend some time and some money putting that barrier on, so I don't want to ruin it with a couple of screws. Even if, to be fair, I don't think that's gonna be a massive difference. I just obviously wanted to do things properly because you know, we spend the time, so why not do it the best we can. Let me show you now what I mean by spreading a lot of glue. I can show you now. So once that we press the profile against the wall, you can see the glue squeezing through the actually holes that are in the profile. Okay, so everything that is left now is to take the tape measure and measure and mark on the floor 40 centimeters on center from the right to left. And we're just gonna cut all the profiles. We know the measurements. We're gonna deduct 5 millimeters. We're gonna cut them all, and we're just gonna place them inside the wall. So this is the first one. You know, it just go nice and it goes inside this U. So this is a C channel. Let's call it C channel, and the ones that are on the floor and on the ceiling are U channels, so, or U profiles. So this one just slides in, and then you can secure this in place with a stud crimper or with a couple of screws with flat heads. This case I'm gonna use screws because I said I need to run a lot of things inside this wall, so just in case I have to slightly move one of the studs, I want it to be easy to remove. If you crimp it in place, then it will be a bit more difficult to remove. It won't be impossible, but this way will be a lot more easier. Okay, so our first wall, it's done. As I said, we marked every 40 centimeters in center, and we have installed our metal studs into the C channel. I did fixed one side, so one screw at the bottom and one screw at the top. Once that everything will be permanent in place, I'll do a second screw at the bottom and a second screw at the top. But at the moment, I'll leave them there just in case I need to move something around, you know, depending where my because on this side of the wall, I'm just gonna have the manifold box, which is gonna be probably somewhere there. Not 100% sure, but probably somewhere there. The dressing will start on that wall going this way, so either there or there I will have my manifold box. So this manifold will be just for this bathroom here. We'll do obviously the shower, the toilet, the basin, which will be there. So it will probably be on this side because it's easier to bring all the pipes and obviously go from here everywhere I need to go, and it'll probably be hidden by a mirror. So because this will be addressing, like I said, furniture will start on that wall and will go all the way around up to somewhere here, so the door will be just there. And in here we're probably going to have a big mirror, just a normal frame mirror that will be probably sitting against the wall, and that's obviously going to cover the access for the manifold. So this is the easy part, nothing special, it's just a normal stud wall, 40 centimeters in center, because we're going to have plasterboard on this side. The other side will be a bit trickier because we want a niche in the shower. We're going to have the concealed toilet cistern and the frame in here, maybe a niche above the toilet. I need to discuss that with my wife. I haven't yet, but she will have to decide if she wants something there or not. So obviously that it will mean that we have to do more planning. We have to take in consideration the thickness of the materials. We'll have to take into consideration what tiles we're gonna have in the bathroom and so on. So I will have to move the camera here and obviously show you from here. So I'm probably gonna be my back's gonna be facing the camera, so sorry for that. But that's the shower. This is where the niche, you know, the shampoo niche will be, and toilet here. No bidet, just toilet and maybe a niche here. So obviously there's a bit more planning involved. Like I said, you need to figure out what tiles you have, because you want your niche to be in a place where you don't have silly cuts on the tiles, something like this. Especially if you do work with big tiles, you want that niche maybe to start with a full tile and finish with a full tile, or at least something that is a decent cut. In terms of pipes, I told you they will be on the other side of the wall, and we're gonna have the shower controller here. I'm just gonna have to chase. This is just you know, aerated blocks, you know, like breeze blocks, and 20 centimeters and plasterboard glued on either side. So we knew that we might have to obviously put the controller here, but when we did the plasterboard, we did it all in one go. And I said if we need to do any adjustment, we'll do so. Same for the basin. I was planning to bring the pipes from the manifold under the floor on the joists, on the floor joists, which are obviously still open because we haven't done the ceiling. I'll have to do all the plumbing and then we'll close the ceilings. So just come and pop through the floor, obviously hot and cold, and waste into the vanity unit. And the vanity unit will probably be built by me, so it will be so that you can't see the pipes. Plan has changed because my wife wants a tap that comes from the wall, so I will have to open up a section in the plasterboard, run some pipes, do this tap, and then obviously reseal the vapor barrier and redo everything. And on top of that, we're probably gonna have either another plasterboard, another green plasterboard, or this XPS board with reinforcement mesh, which probably going to be on that wall, maybe this wall, not 100% sure, but we're definitely going to have something that will be waterproof. So this all will be waterproofed, this, so with obviously big attention inside the shower. So starting this wall, we'll do the same process. You know, we're gonna put the channel on the floor, left, right, top, or left, top, right. We're gonna use the same adhesive because at some point we're gonna penetrate the ceiling, and this wall has a vapor membrane. So we probably gonna penetrate that. So this is why I want to do a lot of silicone. So I just want to make sure there's no anything going through that hole. So this way we are using the silicone, and we are not using that you know, type that you put on the profile. So because we're gonna have the shower on the left hand side, I just want to make sure that that corner is very square. So you can see me using a big square laser level, and I just want to make sure that you know, that corner will be very square. The other corner is not that important because we're just gonna have the toilet there. I mean, obviously it needs to be good, but this is the most critical corner. Okay, so I'm not gonna bother you with building the wall because you saw me building the other wall. This one is being built exactly the same, it's just that we use a bigger profile. So I'm gonna show you now how I'm building the niche, and then I will explain you a few things and few tips if you have to do it. Some things that obviously you're gonna have to pay attention. So first I'm just gonna put the bottom one. Once that I decide what's the height, I'm just gonna install this profile on the bottom. That will create the bottom of the niche. Second, we're just gonna add another vertical profile under the horizontal one just to support it, because the opening is bigger than 60 centimeters and we want one under to support the opening. So they also will be secured with self-tapping screws, with wafer head self-tapping screws. We're not gonna use, as I said before, we're not gonna use the crimper just in case we have to do any adjustments. So now we're ready to install the top profile that will be on the top of the niche. I use the level to mark my lines. You can use the laser, you can use anything you want. You just have to obviously make some nice and level marks, and then obviously follow them with your profile. Let me show you how I cutted this profile. You can see I took the back off in here and in here. You see the first one was a bit bigger because on the left hand side I have two C profiles about a couple of centimeters from each other, and I want to have this left hand side all the way to the wall. So I want to put screws in both of those profiles, and one obviously on the right profile. So I'll do always two screws on either profile, and I go from the back and screw them from the back. This way I'm gonna have a very strong frame, and when we come to do the niche will be very strong, so there's no way the tiles will gonna crack. Okay, so let me explain you now in more detail how we're gonna do this shower niche, this opening where we're gonna store our shampoos and all the product that we're gonna use in the shower. So I'm gonna tell you a few things, and then I'm gonna turn the camera around and I'm gonna show you also with measurements. So basically the first thing that we need to know, and the most important, is what tiles we are going to use on the wall, because that will dictate where we're gonna start and where we're gonna finish this niche. Last thing that you want is to use some big tiles, let's say for instance 120 by 60 centimeters, and to have like a 20 mil cut strip somewhere in that niche. So you don't want that, because that will look very ugly. You want to start your niche maybe where one of the tiles is ending and go up where the other tiles is starting. So, or at least, you know, have big cuts, half a tile, you know, something like that. The second thing that you want is you want your niche to be in the middle of the shower. If you do a niche inside the shower, you want to make sure that you have the same distance on the left and the same distance on the right. The other thing is you need to know what you're gonna put on that wall. So what kind of boards you're gonna use on the wall, because that type of boards you're gonna have to use on the sides of the niche, top and bottom. So you want to take that into consideration either. The other thing that you want to take in consideration is the height of the people who actually gonna use this shower. You don't want to do this niche too high, so they have to, you know, reach, and you don't have to do it too low, so they have to kind of like bend to get things from the niche. When we talk about how deep you want to have it, I always prefer to have them between 15 and 20 centimeters, because I think everything that is bigger than 20 centimeters, it doesn't make sense for me. You're gonna have too much stuff crowded in there. I think 15-20 centimeters is enough to have 2 bottles of shampoo, one after the other, and I think that's more than enough. But you know, it's not our choice always. If the client wants one that is wider, then it's up to him. But my personal preference, this is my bathroom, so my niche will be about 17.5 centimeters, which I think is a great depth, you know. So let me turn the camera around now and show you a bit more in detail. So it's very simple. We're gonna have a shower that will be 100 mil by 150 mil this way. So we want the niche to be in the middle of the wall, and we want our niche to be about 60 centimeters by 40 centimeters in height. Now, in order to do that, you can't just take your metal profile and just put it here and just leave 60 and 40, because that's not gonna work. Remember, you're gonna have to put the same kind of board on the side of the niche, on the bottom, top, and you know, like you're gonna do on the front of the wall. So in order to get these measurements, you need to take the thickness of the board or the boards that you're gonna use, add the tiles and the adhesive, and then you figure out how much your niche will have to be bigger. So what you do, you just move the left profile by that much to the left, and this other profile by that much to the right. And then when you're gonna bore this and you're gonna tile this, you're gonna have a niche that will be 60 by 40. My advice will be, if you're not 100% sure, you can leave a bit more, because it's always easier to add something on a side, top, bottom, whatever. For instance, this XPS fiber board with reinforcement mesh is waterproof. So all you have to do is waterproof the edges, because the rest is waterproofed already from the factory. So it's easy to take this and stick it to your side of the niche and obviously tile over. If you're gonna do your niche, you know, too small, and you'll find out that your tile finishes like behind, there's nothing that you can do. You can either add a small strip of tiles, or you can take the niche apart and do it again. So like I said, if you're not sure, try to do it bigger than smaller, because it will be better. Okay, so this will be everything for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this was at least interesting. If you have any questions, you can ask them on the comment section. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the video. Goodbye.